there, and welcome to the Pip and Pin podcast tutorials. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a welt, and that is this guy right here. Basically, it is a row of gathered fabric that creates like piping almost on your knitting. So I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to talk you through the instructions, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. So when I do my welts, if I'm working in the round, I start right away. If I'm working them flat, I usually like to knit a stitch or two before I start. I find if you look at the edge here, it doesn't affect the look of it too much, and it just makes things much easier. So I've slipped my first stitch on this swatch, and then I'm knitting one stitch just to make life a little bit easier for myself. So our instructions here say to insert the tip of your left needle into the back of the next stitch on your left needle 6 rows down and place it on your needle. Knit together with your next stitch to create the welt. Now in your pattern, if you're using a pattern, it will tell you how many rows you need to go down or how many rows you need to have in your welt. I've already knit the rows for my welt, and in my example, I'm going to be knitting them 6 rows down. So how I do it, insert the tip of your left needle into the back of the next stitch on your left needle 6 rows down. That sounds like a mouthful and really complicated to do from the front. The easiest way I found is to kind of flip your work over away from you, and then you can just count the purl bumps. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The only important part is to make sure that you're in the same column of stitches. So make sure your work is flat and you're just counting straight down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to be picking up that little purl bump there with our left needle and placing it onto the left needle. Now it will seem a bit awkward if this is your first time doing it, because it is kind of awkward. And then we're going to knit those two together, just like that. And we're just going to keep doing that along the whole row. So flip down, you can count down. You can either, if you can visualize where that row of stitches is, that's great. I have to count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there it is. Pick that up onto your left needle and knit them together. One more time here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is this little guy right here. This is much easier to do. The sharper needles you have, the easier this is to do. My needles are, I'm using Addy Clicks right now, so they are not the sharpest needles. If I had the lace tips or a different brand, this might go a little easier for me. So one more here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another trick that I don't do myself, but I can see how it would be helpful is if you, before you start making your welt, flip over your work, count down to where your 6th stitch is going to be. So down here. So this is our row that we're picking up right here. If you want to take a needle and thread a lifeline through there, and then you don't have to, you don't have to look for every stitch. You'll just know, oh, like there's my stitch right there. I'm just not a fan of lifelines, so I don't do it, and I just put myself through lots of counting. Eventually, as you go along too, like usually the first 10 or so stitches I'll have to count out and see, but usually you'll quite quickly be able to see the pattern. And so there is the start of our welt there. You can see how the fabric has gathered and attached itself to make that horizontal line. Yeah, just a pretty decorative thing that you can add to your knitting projects. That's about it. All right, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.